The economy is made up of real people doing real stuff, and it affects everything. Which you obviously know since you're a real person doing real stuff. Marketplace is here to help you get smart about everything beyond the what of the day's business and economic news. We dig into the how and the why with the real people driving our economy. From big tech and interest rates to small businesses and what's happening at the Fed. Marketplace breaks it all down so you don't have to. Listen to Marketplace wherever you get your podcasts.
We're here.
I wish I could give this feeling. I wish I could give this feeling. On the corner.
What up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Corner Podcast. Kel Dansby here with the old man Andreas Hale, here for another week of the show. So good to just be starting fresh this week, talking about pro wrestling. No pay-per-views to talk about this week, but plenty of other stuff, including the release of Bray Wyatt from the WWE. We have to recap Raw and SmackDown, a little bit of Goldberg talk, a little bit of John Cena talk mixed in there, of course, and then talk about AEW's latest show. They have a million names for their shows. I think it's Fight for the Fallen. But every week there's a new name for these damn shows. Don't expect me to keep up with everything. The show itself is dope. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the Elite doing the Space Jam entrances, the Dark Orders, Cowboy entrance, all of that stuff later on in the show. We are on our rundown. We are starting the show off with the Versus battle that happens on Tuesday between Dipset and Locks. But in all honesty, I have to get my energy up before we get into that. I need to do that justice, right? Like I need to be on 100,000 when we talk about that. I got to be on full New York mode because that is literally my childhood right there being broadcast on the Versus screen. But before I got on the mic, I made Andreas, of course, you guys know Dre's in the building. I made Dre just hold on for a second. I was like, yo, I need like 10, 15 minutes before we start. Because I was talking to my godfather, and not to go into a long diatribe, I think I might have talked about him on the show several times. But my godfather's like one of the closest people in my life. There's times when I needed somebody, he was always there. And my godfather's been battling stage 4 cancer for 2.5 years now, I think. So talking to him, getting medical updates, but you know, the conversation goes onto the topic of what we talked about on the last show, and that was the baby's comments. And now my godfather has no clue who the baby is. He just knows he's a musician. He's on stage. He's read articles, saw the comments. And so it kind of threw me off because I know we just talked about the baby. And I was like, you know what? I don't want to fuck the energy in the room up, but I got to start this show by saying, fuck the baby. And at like, upside down, sideways, however, like, fuck him. Like, I'm glad he got pulled from Lollapalooza and all this shit because my godfather, and I've talked about it in the realm, like, he's always been openly gay my entire life. It's opened my eyes since I was a child, like 4 or 5 years old, to what the world is from a different lens. Now, everyone doesn't have these experiences. This is shit that happens, for me, at least personally, growing up in New York, you're privy to a lot of different things. My godfather was one of the premier drag queens in the late 80s, early 90s in the Village downtown. So like he had reviews and all this stuff and huge shows and stuff down there. So I was used to that growing up. And my godfather at the time when I was really young, his best friend was also a drag queen, died of AIDS in 1992. So talking about the article, and this is not the first time, but anytime anything triggers this for like my godfather, he'd just break down and cry. Like real ass tears. And I was like, man, I was like, yo, I got to go on the show after this. But it fucked me up. Like the pain in that off of the statements where, you know, we talked about like, oh yeah, he's stupid or you can't say that but seeing it personalized to someone I care about. And I could only imagine how many others were affected by these words. Yeah, I don't give a fuck if the guy makes another dollar in his life. Like it completely fucked my energy up coming into the show. So I was like, yo, you know what? The best way to do it, I was like, fuck it. I just got to talk about it. Start the show off. Get it off my chest. Get the energy off of there. Because, yeah, some real shit. Like someone I care about. Someone who the past 2.5 years, like we're doing everything. And thankfully doctors and all this stuff and his health is as good as it could be in this condition. But someone where I don't know how long they're here for, that I've cared about my entire life, who has a million fucking reasons to cry and doesn't. Like, he doesn't cry over his cancer, doesn't cry over 2.5 years straight of chemo, doesn't cry over losing weight, losing hair. I mean, he's always been bald for like the past 10 years, but still all this shit, like he doesn't cry about any of that. But to be triggered by a fucking idiot on stage and to cry, I was like, oh, this is ridiculous. So
I gotta ask, what was it exactly that he felt with the baby's comments? Like, what was it exactly to contextualize it?
He felt as though he was making light of AIDS and people with AIDS. And his best friend, like, honestly, like, obviously before I was born, but my godfather came out to this guy and he helped, like, he was a pretty well-known, his best friend was a well-known drag queen, like really well-known. Like if fucking RuPaul's Drag Race was around then, he'd be a judge, right? So he was only like 19. My godfather was 16. So my godfather like came out to this guy before he came out to anyone. All this shit, he helped my godfather so many ways. My godfather ride from Long Island into the city to go to shows. He hooked him up in all these different venues. Like they were close as close can fucking be. And to hear that, he told me the whole story when the guy told him he had AIDS. His best friend passed away in 4 months after telling him he had AIDS, and how like serious it was back then, to the point of, I think it hurt more because again, he doesn't know the baby. It hurt more to see that someone can joke about that. That's like someone making a slavery and noose joke, you know, like they're so out of touch. Like this shit ain't funny. This is a kid who, the baby wasn't born when my uncle was grieving and crying over his best friend. Like you have no fucking clue what it was like in the 80s and 90s for the gay community, one, to say anything, to say you're gay, for anyone to catch AIDS, to have to be gay before they knew anyone can catch AIDS. Like it brought up like a swell of emotions. Like nothing about that shit is funny.
Yeah, I mean, I hate that, you know, we even have to talk about this for another week, but I guess this is kind of brings it back. There's so much irony in somebody like the baby saying something about a community which he doesn't understand and trying to make light of their situation, and then go on Twitter and say, well, where are y'all at when, you know, police brutality is happening? Like, dog, do you realize what you're doing? By you stepping out and speaking on a community that you know nothing about and trying to make light of a situation that isn't funny, especially to any community, but to theirs specifically, for you to try to make light of that and then be like, oh, it's not a big deal, or T.I. trying to defend it. It's like, yo, you are doing exactly what they do to us, and you're not showing the same sympathy nor empathy of their situation. This shit ain't funny. That's why I asked you the context, because I don't think some people understand. It's not just, you know, you're talking about me because of the color of my skin or me because of my sexuality. There's pain and trauma that comes in behind that. And that's the reason why it hurts people the way it does. And to make a joke about sucking dick in parking lots and, you know, if you don't have AIDS, get away from, like, yo, what is that? That's why I say it was so wholly unnecessary when he did it. To sit there and get super defensive about it is ridiculous. Like, what do I always say? Just say, I'm sorry, dog. Just say, I'm sorry. I didn't understand. Maybe I need to be around more gay people. Because that's one thing. The hip hop community is still very homophobic.
I think he tried to defend it and be like, yo, my gay homies are classy. They don't suck dick in parking lots. They don't have AIDS. Like, no, like he defended it in the worst way. Like that. That's that's the my good you're a good black. That's what he did, right? You can't do that, because that's not speaking to an entire community. That's speaking to your experience with a certain individuals that aren't representative of an entire community. It's like, you know, white people saying, why can't y'all be like Candace Owens? Like, what the fuck? You can't do that. You can't. There's a community of people that are pained by their trauma and their past. And the baby, yeah, thankfully, Lollapalooza was like, yeah, we don't need this. Pull him. He's already made a bunch of money, right? Like, the baby's already got bread. He's going to be good, and he's going to continue. There are going to be people that are going to defend him. But I know, like I said, I'm good.
I'm sorry, I don't want to be bothered with that shit. Somebody who's that shallow, and the baby's still relatively young, but we're supposed to be a tolerant society. And that's why when people talk about like racism's over or like, oh, we're a progressive society, we kind of aren't when things like this happen. When we see things like this happen within our community, we're not. We've made some moves. Yeah, there are people that are more accepting of different races and cultures and sexualities, but there's a lot more people who still aren't. There's a lot more people
ignorant.
Dude, there's a lot more people where I grew up that still hate gay people. That still think it's funny to call people, slurs. They don't rock with it. They think it's cool. And like these are people that I grew up with. It's not really changing. Not everybody's being more progressive. So I'm sorry that your godfather had to deal with that kind of ignorance. Not even ignorance. It's just fucking an asshole, right? Like I'm sorry they had to deal with that, but hopefully that people start understanding, like, yo, it's pot calling kettle black, man. Like, black community, we've got our own issues, but if we're not going to we can't sit here and ask for people to be helpful to us if we're not going to be helpful to their cause. So we got to chill out, man. So fuck the babies.
Yeah, fuck it. Fuck anyone who defends them. Fuck T.I. and his million-word vocabulary, which he doesn't even use it in the right context. Like, whatever. Fuck them all. Like, again, it's so easy to just say you were wrong and apologize. And a lot of times that shit gets buried, right? Like it would have never gotten the reach of what he said on stage, right? That was always going to be the first article read, is first thing on Google, first video shown. But at least then I could have then told my godfather, who doesn't know who the fuck the baby was like, yo, they thought this shit was clever for an album rollout. It's the stupidest shit. Like, it's not going to help. But he apologized. They're educating him on it. Like, there's some, like, okay, at least an idiot is learning, right? It's like when people say, oh, racism. Why are you still mad about slavery? That was so long ago.
Right.
So, because you're an idiot then. So if you don't say, oh, I'm sorry about that comment and you're learning, then there's just another idiot in the world. I don't feel comforted. Like, no, this shit happened. It's traumatizing. Like AIDS it was an epidemic. They had fucking concerts and marches and fundraisers, and people see Magic Johnson and laugh. Like, oh, look at Magic's still here. All this shit. Like, you know how rare that was?
I mean, Magic's also rich.
Very rich. Rich people died from this shit. Freddie Mercury ain't here.
Like, I'm saying Magic's the type of guy, like, he can afford the proper medication to still be here, whereas the average person cannot.
Exactly. Quality of life. People don't know. Magic wakes up probably every day taking 50 pills. Like, quality of life counts. Like, oh, what a stupid fucking statement. So, yeah, I was like, oh, man. I had to shake that off. Talk about, yeah, fuck the baby. Fuck all them. Day in Vegas, I will be skipping his show. So that might be a food break for me. So I'm all the way cool on that. But show that I'm not skipping, and the reason we were talking hip hop to start the show, to get the air back in the room, the Versus this Tuesday, it is paired with boxing. We'll be talking about the boxing fight itself on Thursday's show.
Nobody cares about that fight.
Listen, someone might care about the fight. Michael Hunter. People remember Michael Hunter? No, maybe.
No.
I don't know. No. I don't know. You guys let me know if you're going to tune in the 2 hours early to see boxing, or if you're just going to tune in when the Versus starts. But nonetheless, they are pairing it together. Triller is, and everyone knows why they're in the Garden. They want to see the Locks versus Dipset. They want to see Jada versus Cam. They want to see Styles and Jewels. They want to see Jim Jones and Sheik. It's perfect. This is, in perfectly fitting with the show, this is like when the Wyatt family and the Shield squared off.
For you, yeah, sure. Not for me.
What? You're not excited about this?
Not like everybody else. I never was a huge Dipset fan.
I would say I'm clutching my pearls, but like, what? I'm clutching the bandana that is wrapped around my fitted.
Never was a huge Dipset fan. Nope.
No, that is crazy. I mean, I get it. You are like, I don't want to call you a backpacker. but you were into different things at the time than Cam's very different and unique flow that people do not appreciate enough. The man is a wizard with the words. So,
I mean, look, man, I put it like this. We'll get to the nitty gritty of the actual battle in a second. But with Dipset, yes, Dipset anthem was incredible, right? I felt like Lil Wayne stole Jules Santana's career. That's just me. I just felt like there was at one point they were together going to make, Can't Feel My Face and do all these things. And then all of a sudden Wayne took off and Jules went nowhere, which was bizarre to me.
I have no clue how that happened. Definitely dropped the ball on that one.
That was crazy. But I never was a big Jim Jones fan. I never was a big Freaky Zeke fan. Like I wasn't a big Dipset fan. I just wasn't.
Freaky Zeke might be top 5 skit makers in hip hop history.
Yeah, he doesn't make the music ain't that.
No,
good.
I don't even know if he has songs. To be honest, I think he just makes skits. I'm almost positive. I've never heard a Freaky Zeke song. I've heard Hell Rel, J.R. Ryder. Now I'm getting in the bag. 40 Cal. Like all of them on a track. Freaky just did the skits, and they were hilarious skits. There's one skit where Jim Jones kicks the chick out of the car on the West Side Highway because she threw up on his Timbs. It's all bad. But yeah, actually, they both make very good skits. The Locks have some funny ass ones too. The Jay Jerkin nigga skit is iconic. But when you look at this battle with Cam, with Dipset, I don't think, because what it sounds like to me is that you're saying this kind of one-sided.
No, it's not, because I understand why people love Dipset, right? Like I get it. I've heard the music. I've seen people, the bandanas. I get it.
So you're not trying to jagged edge them. I thought you were doing this is like jagged edge, or what was that, SWV? Or like, they have no, or
it's not like Dipset. Dipset was huge, especially in New York at the time. Like Dipset was a huge movement. The thing about the Locks is between Jadakiss and Styles P, that bag is super deep. Look, man, people like Jim Jones, people like Jewels, people like Cam, but Jada and Styles albums by themselves, that's a lot of ammunition. Then you got the albums that they did as the Locks, and then you can pick a Chic song or two, but seriously, or two. But it's really like Jadakiss is going to dominate a lot of this battle, in my opinion. Jada's he's got too many joints. You saw what he did to Fabulous.
I'll say he already had a versus, so he's not going to dominate the battle. SP, I love SP's albums, but he doesn't have the hits that Jim Jones has.
All right. Wait.
That's to say that I'm picking Locks, but he doesn't have the hits Jim Jones had. Like I Get High is a dope ass hit. Everything else was features off of SP's tracks. He doesn't have a Ballin'. He doesn't have even like a Make It Rain. Like Jim Jones has like tracks or hits for a second when Max B was writing for him.
Yeah, Jim Jones has his, but there aren't that many.
Summer with Miami. He could bring out Trey. The place would go fucking crazy. Jimmy got some joints.
Regardless, still picking the Locks.
I am too. Like,
there's just too much. Dude, you go back to even the Benjamins. What are they gonna do when they play the Benjamins? What are you gonna do?
I was just about to say that. There's no retort for All About the Benjamins. Like once that comes on, you play your worst song. Just follow that shit up with like a brand new Cameron single. Like play something just a complete throwaway because nothing's matching that. Don't put up Hey Ma against it. Don't put up don't throw Horse and Carriage out there for that one.
Horse and Carriage.
Right? Like it's dope and it's nostalgic, but you're not trying to win with Horse and Carriage.
No, you're not.
Like just throw that shit up there against it. You're like, oh, you guys want to go early 90s, Horse and Carriage. Mason Betta. Like
that's tough sledding. All About the Benjamins, 24 Hours to Live.
24 Hours. Reservoir Dogs, if they play it.
Yes, if Reservoir Dogs, you pull that out. Me personally, one of my favorite joints, even though the best verse on there is probably Jay's, is Blackout from DMX's
Oh yeah,
second album. Like all of them murdered that
joint from the Biggie album from Life After Death.
Yeah, I mean you could do We'll Always Love Big Papa. You could do Mariah Carey's Honey.
Yeah,
People forget they were on there.
I think I said that on the podcast.
Yes, you have.
Yeah,
it's like you claim to
fame. No, yeah, like listen, because no one wants to hear that I was in the Mary J. Blige, in this Dancery video.
No, nobody wants to hear that.
No. Everyone wants to get that video.
But now everybody doesn't want to hear it because you said it. You know what they should play just out of spite of everything? If You Think I'm Jiggy, just so I can get a laugh.
Oh, yo, that shit was dope. What if they came out with the shiny suits, like after the intermission?
Oh, Lord.
Came out with the shiny suits just for one joint, and they did the shiny suit rap. Oh, they'd kill it. Puff got to make an appearance. I mean, it's at the Garden. Puff will pop up. Probably all about the Benjamins. And do that with them. No, I mean, the catalog is way too deep. Jada, if he wants to play his single joints, him and SP back and forth have 1 million tracks together.
It's crazy.
It's just it's a lot. Like
all the Rough Rider shit, man. Like all
joint
the
with Eve.
Rough Riders. Yeah.
Jada wants to pull out World War III if he brings out Snoop.
Look,
state your name, gangster.
This will be fun. This will be a fun battle because, yes, everybody who loved the Dipset and the Lox, especially, late 90s, early 2000s, it's going to be incredible. But the fact of the matter is, I just think the Lox bag is too deep for Dipset. But that being said,
songs help.
Yeah, I wanted to be in New York because I just wanted to see the energy in the building for that. Because I thought that would have been pretty incredible.
I mean, listen, mask up, people. Have a blast. Mask up. Because it is going to be packed. And don't get stomped out. Don't act brand new. I know the quarantine and all this stuff. People was in the house a long time. People just act stupid anyway over the summers in New York. Like that's just a thing. So it's gonna be 1 million people with Timbs and Nike boots and Gore-Tex. Like, don't get stomped out. It ain't cute. Don't get stomped out. I don't want to see that on the TikTok or on Twitter. Let's keep this peaceful. If you want, show up in pink in salute to the Dipset, in salute to Cam. But now I can't wait. I mean, in my personal top 10, not, objective, my personal top 10, I just bumped Cam like 2 years ago. Cam was like 14 when I listed it out when we were doing the show. My personal top 10 ever. Cam was like 4. Like he just got bumped, and now I've smartened up and moved him back a little more. But he's like my 14th favorite MC ever. I like Cam that much.
Cam's got a joint. Listen, Down and Out, joint he did with Kanye. Oh boy.
Oh, Suck It or Not with Lil Wayne is underrated. Welcome to New York City. What if Jay came out for Welcome to New York City?
Yeah, that'd be funny. You know who would feel very bad about that? Dame Dash. He would not be happy with that.
No. Like, that ain't Harlem. He'd be yelling from outside the building, taunting everybody.
Yeah. I'm picking the Lox, but the key here is this is truly a battle of song selection. If the Lox could just do something dumb and the Dipset could just take off on them, they could make some bad song selections. I doubt that they will, but I think Dipset has enough, especially based on Cam's catalog, where this could get very interesting.
This is the key. And I wrote this down in the notes. Does this come down to who has bigger commercial success?
No.
Because when you do Jewels and Chris Brown on whatever Jewel's first single was, that shit was a huge hit. Talked about Jim Jones having commercial hits. And if they bring out guests, even crazier, right? Like Chris Brown, Trey Songz, like these motherfuckers start coming out. Like it's wild. You got songs with Wayne, Jewels does, and Jim Jones does. Got joints with Fat Joe. Fat Joe might come out. We went through Cam's catalog, Down and Out, featuring Kanye. We had like 4 singles on the Come Home With Me album. There's a lot of shit in there. Not to mention when you go into like the Diplomatic Immunity bag for some of the hardcore joints. That was still really huge in New York. I feel like if you're going hits for hits, they might be able to steal 10 or 11.
It's very possible, man. The Dipset has a very deep bag. I don't think it has anything to do with commercial hits. I think it's really dependent on this New York audience. And I was in New York at the time. That's going to be like the internet's, yes, and internet's going to be the internet, but you're doing this in front of a bunch of people. You got to play the right songs at the right time. Look, they could play Dipset Anthem for like 5 of their songs. I don't think anybody would blink.
No, no one's gonna object to that. But yeah, you can't let Jada talk you out of your bag.
No,
that's where Fab fucked up. And then Jada got drunk and laughed at him. You got to stick to the game plan. So whatever you decide to play, stick to the game plan. Don't have Jada conning you into playing mixtape classics or B-side hits, because then he's just gonna beat you over the head with them.
There's a lot. Like, I'm thinking about it. I really mean it.
Why?
Yeah, I'm thinking about I really mean it from Dipset. I forgot.
I really mean it was tough. There's so much on diplomatic immunity that's so crazy. Oh my God. It's gonna be I don't know how they fit it into 20 songs.
I don't know either. It's song selection. Something's gonna get left off. You can't, like, they can't not play Oh Boy, right? Like, you have to
play that. Have to play Hey Ma. Have to play the Jewels joint. Have to play Ballin'. You could play Weatherman if you want. Oh God, Diplomatic Immunity had Family Ties on it. Bring out J.R. Ryder.
Wow,
that was my shit. They had Crunk Music, Crazy, Bigger Pictures on there. That was Diplomatic Immunity 2. Then one got Dipset Anthem. I really mean it. There's so much shit on there. I'm ready.
It's a lot. This is a good versus battle, and they're doing it in New York. So I was trying to find a reason to go, but Michael Hunter's not a reason.
Nah, they didn't help. Yeah, they didn't help out with that. Even though when I had my travel meeting, I was asked very specifically, like, yo, you don't want to go to this? And I was like, nah, man, I'm good. Like, it could have fit in my budget. And I was like, nah. My daughter starts school. Like, I have my daughter full time now. My oldest.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
And she starts school on the 9th. I was like, do I really want to travel on the 3rd?
No, you don't.
And they come, I was like, nah, man. That's what I was like, I gotta chalk it up to the game. Family first. But no, trust. I got the Timbos in the closet, the Constructs, they ready. Me and Elena got matching Constructs, because she got us both a pair when we moved to the East Coast. So we got those in the box, crispy. I got the Yankee fitted, standing strong. I'm about to go cop a white tee, 2X tall tee this week, like maybe Monday, but cop the 2X white tee. I'm going to throw on, if I could find Jabode shorts, I would, but I'm going to throw on jean shorts. I'll go to the thrift store and buy jean shorts to rock with my Timbs. It's summertime, baby. If you ain't do Timbos and jean shorts, what are you doing? So the Yankee fit in the white tee. I'm ready for tomorrow.
I wear Timbs all the time, but I don't wear Timbs with shorts. I don't really wear shorts that much, but I don't wear Timbs with shorts. I gotta wear some fresh sneakers with that.
Nah, I gotta take it back. It was either that or the crispy all white Uptowns. But I want it to be grimy.
All right, well, that's on you.
Yeah, that's
I'm your house.
In character. Yeah, I might buy Elena a jersey dress with the Timbos.
Oh, Jesus.
We take this shit back to 03, feeling good for this versus. And I'm going to go get a bottle of Alizé and a bottle of Hypno.
Don't do that.
For the environment. You gotta do it. Those are 2 things I haven't seen in your bar.
You won't.
You have everything.
You will not see it in my bar.
There is no Hypno.
You know what I found in my bar? Like, I was digging through, this is like really off subject, but I was digging through like all my stuff because we just got our floors done in our house and we're like removing all our stuff. And I was like, wow, I found a bottle of Nuvo.
Oh, God. That tastes like champagne, right?
Not really. I can't even tell you what Nuvo tastes like anymore, but there was a stretch while I was in New York, and anybody who was in New York at this time knows what I'm talking about. There was a stretch from like 09, maybe late 08 to 2010 where like Nuvo was everywhere, and they were just giving the shit out for free, and they just gave me a bunch of bottles, and I found one, and it's not like me and my wife never finished it. I can't remember why. I can't remember what
decade-old bottle of Nuvo.
It probably wasn't that old, but I just found the bottle and I was just like, what is this? And I was like, wow, Nuvo. There were like hip hop is definitely the only genre of music that you can tie a type of liquor to the era.
Hands down.
Like you can't really do it with rock music. I think everything's like Pabst Blue Ribbon and fucking beer, right? But with hip hop, it's like, oh yeah, the Cristal era. Oh yeah, 40 ounces. That's West Coast.
Yep.
Like Special Brew, St. Ives Special Brew. Yep, that's early 90s West Coast shit. Like Nouveau was like, I think it was like Rick Ross, Maybach music type shit. You mentioned Alizé. That was like late 90s Tupac and the early 2000s, like the Incredible Hulk era.
Yeah.
Courvoisier with Busta Rhymes, Patrick Courvoisier. We are always like, it is a benchmark of liquor. If you drink a liquor at a certain time, he was like, oh, you like this kind of music. Like it's
2012
weird.
through 2015, or like the Ciroc Boy shit.
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
French Montana and Fab, when he had the Coco Loso, that shit took over for us.
Oh God!
Before the flavors, that was like the coconut Ciroc was the first flavor to come out. With the pineapple juice, that shit was sold out nationally.
It's crazy, but that's hip hop. That's some true hip hop shit. But yeah, I found a bottle of Nouveau, and I was like, where did this come from? I was going through my garage, and I was like, who drinks this? Yeah, obviously I'm not going to drink it.
You obviously drank it.
It was free. Like they just gave it to us. So it's crazy.
I'm clowning your wife next time I see her. Like, oh, you guys have like the most sophisticated palate, but Dre told me you drink Nouveau back in the day.
Yeah, that's wild.
It's all bad.
As an aside, before we move on to anything else, I want to talk about the album of the year competition, because we are now in August 1st as we're recording the show. And I have 3 albums on my hip hop album of the year conversation. There's only 3. Any guesses what they are?
Yeah, I can guess all 3, I believe.
You should be able to.
So Tyler, the Creator.
Yes.
Then we have the new Isaiah Rashad.
Oh, yes.
Which is very dope. I've only been able to listen through twice, though. So I haven't been in a car much. I like listening to music in a car. So I've listened to twice, though, but I see the hype. And it's super dope. And then Tyler, that, and J. Cole.
Yes, and J. Cole is hanging around by a thread.
Oh, come on. That shit is fire.
It's hanging around by a thread because it's going to get booted out. It's really good, though. Don't get me wrong. But I think that like this Isaiah Rashad album is way better. Like I thought it was going to be dope because I'm an Isaiah Rashad fan. But yo, this is it. The house is burning. Yeah. Every day, and it's only been a few days, so I needed another week or 2. That's what I had to do with Tyler. When it got to week 2 and I was still listening to this joint, I was like, all right, cool. It's in my conversation. But this Isaiah Rashad, like from the Garden, my goodness. He performs in Vegas in October, and I already hit shake, and I was like, we're going to this shit, right? And if he he's going to perform from the Garden, and that's just going to tear the place up.
Yeah, my boys from Views, my boy Spence, who doesn't like anything, he likes the album, but the only nice thing he said about it is, okay, well, it sounds like something that Schoolboy Q would have made, so I like it. And that was his comment, right? And I would listen to it, I was like, listen, he ain't wrong. Like this sound, it reminds me of like Oxymoron. Like it's so well put together, and it's still very diverse. Every song, like some songs really knock, some songs still more melodic, and Isaiah Rashad's taking chances on songs, because you go through Oxymoron, like Studio was on it but wasn't out of place.
No, it wasn't.
Like everything fits, like you take chances and it works. And it was like, yeah, but when he said that, I was like, yeah, because it's TDE, because they do things where everything just fits perfectly in place, which is why they take 3 fucking years to put together one album for one artist. Like, you know, like, and they're not dropping an album every year for every person. They take their time. Everything is made with a purpose. And that's, man, just Ali is incredible at what he does. Everyone, you know, Top Dog making the decisions, whoever does the track listings, if they sit down all together, however it goes, like the sequencing is always spot on. You know, Kendrick's sequencing has gotten crazy, right? Like his sequencing is like, if you listen to it backwards, it's the same as forward. Like they've gotten that shit down to the science. But I even like when they sequence albums like this. Like it doesn't have to have an overall theme or story or rhyme, like, but everything flows perfectly. The vibe flows perfectly. Like, don't bring this shit around me and hit shuffle, because we fighting. Like, never shuffle anything from TDE around.
Yeah. So like this. The reason why I say Cole's hanging on a thread is because Right now, one of my other favorite albums is Topaz Jones, Don't Go Telling Your Mama. If you haven't heard it, you should go listen to it. It's really dope. Benny the Butcher's Plugs I Met Too is really fucking good.
Yep.
But I still put Cole in that third spot. The problem is we're getting ready to hit the second half of the year, and Drake is already talking about coming for heads with the Certified Lover Boy album. I have a feeling, because I don't know if the expectations are low with this Drake album, but I feel like he's going to exceed what people expect out of him, because the album is called Certified Lover Boy.
Yeah, that's what throws me off. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you, but when he just released what was like that EP of like a couple tracks that, you know, it's kind of like, in my opinion, like throwaway tracks or shit that doesn't make the album, and he just put out there like to test the water. I was like, oh my god, all of this shit is so fire.
That Lemon Pepper freestyle.
Oh, I was like, this didn't make the album. Oh my god, whatever's on there is about to be crazy.
Yeah, so that's right now. I mean, I like to hear what everybody else has as their top 3 albums. I've been talking to a few of the homies, and we've been discussing album of the years and what goes where. But it's been a pretty good year for hip hop. It started a little slow. Cole came out and was like, all right. A lot of people were like, this is classic. I was like, it's not classic. Really good album. This Tyler album, though, still my album of the year. That Tyler album is fucking great. But this Isaiah Rashad, I'm so enamored by the way this thing is put together. And if you haven't, do yourself a favor, go read Isaiah Rashad's profile. It's in Fader. It came out about a month ago. And the reason why his album took so long is because Isaiah had like substance abuse issues, and he like disappeared. And I remember they were always trying to get him help, and he would just get really lazy and he'd disappear. It's a really good story, but for him to come out with this album after what he went through, yeah. But this, I don't know. I listened to it and I expected it to be good. I was like, holy shit, this is a really good fucking album.
Yeah, that Tyler album to me is probably still number one. This might grow on me, to tell you the truth. Like this, it's like on Benny's album "Grow on Me" last year.
That Benny.
Yeah, so like Isaiah Rashad might grow on me. So I don't know. I can't say that Tyler's going to hold number one all the way through, but it gives me hope that Donald Glover gives us another Childish Gambino rapping album.
I hope so. And don't forget, as we're recording this next week, King's Disease 2 comes out.
I don't have high hopes for that shit. Like Nas has never been a back-to-back 1-2 bong guy. Like you give me one, I pay attention to Nas like 4 years later.
If Hit Boy's behind it, then I'm curious, because Hit Boy hasn't missed at all
since coming back, like 2 years.
And then plus the nerve of them to drop it the same day as Kanye.
You're not giving Kanye the possibility of stealing a top 3 spot. No.
If it's anything from what I heard, like I'm just being frank here, because I don't say somebody's music sucks because I think they're a shitty person. Shitty people can make good music. But what I heard when I watched the parts of the session from, the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, it wasn't good. And Kanye can't rap. So it's like, I just didn't hear anything good, but I have a feeling that whatever is supposed to come out next week is going to be completely different. And it probably still won't come out next week.
Yeah, allegedly dropping next week. Before we hit the break and start talking pro wrestling, you give us your top 3 hip hop. What's your top 3 R&B so far? Because you're an R&B ass dude.
Yeah, but see, if y'all know me, I don't really listen like straight R&B. It's always a bunch of like electronic and a bunch of other shit. Like, I don't know. That's a good question. I like Snow Allegra's album is really good. I'm just going off the top right now because what I've listened to recently, Snow Allegra and Mariah the Scientist have really fucking dope albums.
I've heard a lot about Mariah the Scientist.
Yeah, Mariah the Scientist album is dope. Jasmine Sullivan, I'm still listening to her album. It actually came out in like January or February.
Hotels?
Yes, man.
I couldn't get over that.
It's a really good album. But see, I'm outside of the box on like some hip hop. So I mean, some R&B. So like, I'm big on Black Coffee, which is when I look at my list of things that I've listened to this year, I've listened to this Black Coffee album like a billion times. And that's one thing I like about Apple Music and their replay thing, because you can see what you've played the most this year. And that Black Coffee has been played to death. Hers album, still think is fantastic. I'm trying to think what else.
I knew it because I have one here as a list that popped up on my Google, and I had it ready when I thought about this. And I was like, he's gonna forget about it. And I saw you tweet about this.
What was it?
Don Richards' Second Line.
Oh,
is number 2 on this list behind Hotels of Jasmine Sullivan for R&B albums of the year so far. I haven't listened to it, but I saw you tweet it, and I was like, Dawn?
Dawn.
Kane, Dawn?
Dawn, like who would have thought? Last Train to Paris, Dawn. Like that whole sound was basically engineered by Dawn. And it's funny because I'm like, my wife's got me watching this show on BET with like all these old R&B singers, and it's like Pam from Total. I can't remember what the shit is called. The girls from Cherish, and I was like, and Aubrey from Danity Kane, who's had a ton of work done.
Oh,
and I was like,
I mean, Dawn has had a lot of work done,
but Dawn's music, man, yo, Morning Street Lights off of this. Dawn's got an album. But I don't know if it's on my list, right? Like, there's a lot of different things. There's a group, Children of Zeus, that dropped an album in June called Balance. Really fucking good. It'll take me a while to like whittle down my R&B, which is crazy because like with hip hop, it's really easy for me. It's like cut and dry. If there's something that's really dope, it's there. But R&B, there's a lot of stuff to filter through because what's R&B and what's not R&B, and it's like. Is Doja Cat an R&B singer? Is that an R&B album? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I guess it's R&B pop. I mean, yeah, it's tough. The lines blur. I'm actually go through and listen to these R&B albums now that I have this this list in front of me that I found on Google. Genesis Uwosu, Smiling with No Teeth, is third.
I haven't heard that.
Yeah, it's third on this list, first on another list that I'm looking at. So I got to check that out. Overgrown by Joyce Rice.
Overgrown by Joyce Rice is a really dope album.
Fourth.
Yes. That is dope. Yes.
Giveon When It's All Said and Done.
That is
which
also
I know the single because like my wife plays it all the time.
Yeah.
So I got to listen to the album. So I was like, all right. But Genesis Owosu. I was like, all right, let me check this out. It's a pretty good list. So I'm going to get in my R&B bag. Right now, we're going to get into the break because we still have to talk about pro wrestling. Thanks for sticking through the beginning of the show. A little bit of everywhere on it. But you guys made it through. Right after the break, we're talking WWE main roster and the release of Bray Wyatt. Don't go anywhere. Be right back.
Hey everyone, it's Lindsay Rhodes, and I've got a new podcast, the NFL Roadshow. Fun and kind of nerdy conversation about the NFL every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I've got some amazing guests that are joining me. I'll be breaking the huddle with the top stories, previewing games. We'll get you set for the weekend fantasy with our Fantasy Friday episodes, and we'll answer some of your questions as well. So subscribe to the NFL Roadshow on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
All right, Dre, I'm sure this is the topic everyone wanted to hear us talk about since it was announced randomly on Saturday that WWE has endeavored Bray Wyatt. Reports say that he was training, he looks in great shape, training for a return in August. But when he was ripe and ready to come back, they looked at it and they were like, you know what? It doesn't match. Your salary is kind of high. It's a budget cut situation. And they let him walk. I'm not up in arms like everyone else is. And we'll talk about like him being released and what this means for their philosophy and everything. But I like Bray. I defended Bray on this show when you thought I was crazy for defending Bray and The Fiend. So I like him as character, everything else. But I'm not up in arms because if you're not on TV and they're making money without you, I'm not shocked when they say, yeah, you can walk. Whether that's Daniel Bryan, whether that's, Bray Wyatt, whether that's whoever they cut. It's like, yeah, I think they figured out, like, this shit is plug and play because the product's going to suck anyway. Or Vince is going to do what he wants to do anyway. So why are we paying people $8 billion?
Yeah. But the first thing I got to say is, I told you this shit wasn't going to work.
I thought I was going to skip over that.
You can't get past it. Look, the WWE wants to get a shiny new toy. Vince runs it into the ground. And I told you 1 month look, this is crazy because Bray Wyatt is being released 1 year after he was in the main event with Braun Strowman, who has also been released at SummerSlam for the Universal title.
He was champion,
Roman came,
right?
Yeah, and Braun was. And Roman came back.
Oh, I thought the Fiend won the belt from Braun.
Maybe that's what. I don't know, but I just know maybe. Yeah, I don't care.
I think he won
How about that? It doesn't matter. The fact is that was your main event at last year's SummerSlam. You know what happened a year before that? The Fiend debuted against Finn Balor. 2 years. He's gone. But I told you 1 month after the Fiend debuted, it was over. You remember the exact moment I told you it was over?
When he started going after Seth Rollins?
Exactly. The moment he showed up, and I was like, oh, it's over. Because there's nowhere to go from here. Because he can't lose, and there's nowhere to go but down. And you argue me down that they would split the personalities, and they do all these things, but they don't know how to do that.
They did split the personalities, though.
But it didn't work because there was nowhere to go but down. Because they did that. You can't, dude, you did that shitty Hell in a Cell match. Like, the WWE is a company, and this is why I'm a little bit more up in arms about it than some people. Some people are like, oh, if you're not using them, release them. Okay, I get what you're saying. However, if there was a wrestler who was built for the mold of the WWE that values character over your in-ring work, it was Bray fucking Wyatt. There is nobody in recent history that has come close to so many dope iterations of a character that have been fundamentally ruined in the months after it debuts. It happens every single time to Bray Wyatt. I've never, think about this. How many other wrestlers do you know that have come up with different iterations themselves? I know some people say there's Jericho, but Jericho's always been successful. There's never been a time that Jericho has just been like completely stale or his gimmick was like, oh, this is whack now. There was CM Punk.
Only Taker and Mankind jump out to him.
And you can't even really count Taker.
Oh, I don't like American Badass Taker was a real big jump. And that's because he thought he was getting stale in 2001.
Well, that's because he thought he was getting stale. The difference here is the WWE, for whatever reason, takes whatever Bray does and they ruin it. It's not like Taker ruined the Dead Man, right? It's not like American Badass was something new because Taker had been doing that for so many years. And he went to something else. And let's be real, American Badass was kind of whack, but whatever. It was something different. But Bray Wyatt came in and like with the Wyatt family, which had one of the greatest entrances we had seen in recent memory. Yes. Like this dude never misses. And yeah. I don't know who to blame. You know, maybe this could be a little bit of Vince. I don't know. But the moment we saw the Wyatt family debut on the roster, we're like, oh, they can't miss.
Yep.
And then they end up missing. Even though then there's
they had a great run.
They did have a great one. Don't get me wrong. They had a great run, but this isn't a matter of them. It's not like Bray didn't get his opportunities, but I think it wasn't him that was ruining his own opportunities. He was pushed so far up the ladder so quickly that there was nowhere to go but down. For instance, there's a lot of gaffes that happen. Should Bray Wyatt have beaten The Undertaker? Yes. In my opinion, if you wanted him to be the guy, he should have beat The Undertaker.
Should have beat Cena.
Should have beat Cena, right? Those are two things that was just like, well, what the fuck? The House of Horrors match, I can't defend that shit. It's fucking terrible, right? But he was champ. But he was champ for like a weekend. Like he had just won the title, and then he dropped it like immediately. So it's hard to really figure out what they were doing that. But this iteration of The Fiend, like I went back and watched that entrance and how people were applauding the entrance before the match even started. If there was ever a wrestler that fits the WWE's value of production and character over in-ring work, it is Bray Wyatt. And this is astounding to me that they fucked this up again. And it's like, you could say, all right, Bray can't really wrestle. Yeah, I know that. We all know that. Bray's not a great worker. He's competent. He's not a great worker. But these characters, those promos, Firefly Funhouse.
You don't have to be a great wrestler when you could do that, especially in a company that doesn't put great wrestling at a premium.
Not at all. But that's what I'm saying. When Firefly Funhouse, you can't really do that shit anywhere else because the production value was fantastic for it.
Yeah.
Firefly Funhouse match with Cena. Can't really do that anywhere. Production was fantastic for it. The Fiend entrance. Can't really do that anywhere. Want to know why? Because you need a design team to come up with that kind of interest and that fucking mask and the lantern. Like that, there's so much production that goes into what Bray Wyatt does. Like this dude, again, I don't know the percentage of whether it's him and how much it was WWE, but I'm going to put that it was a lot on Bray Wyatt because nobody else has had this kind of value outside of maybe The Undertaker. And every time it's like it's a stop and start thing. Every single time when he was teaming with Roman Reigns and the infamous pointing the gun and Roman spears him, what happened? They just blew that thing up.
Yep.
Like even the Wyatt family, yes, the Wyatt family was great, but it always felt like they were like secondary to the Shield, which is fair, right? It's fair. The Shield was a Shield. But after that, you broke them up. You sent Rowan and Harper to SmackDown, and then you did the whole Bludgeon Brothers things. You kind of left Bray on his own, which is fine, but it just kept feeling like it was a stop and start thing. So now after you ruin the Fiend, which is probably his greatest creation through all of this, the Firefly Funhouse, remember when we first saw those promos and we were just like, yo, we've never seen anything like this.
So incredible.
How do you fuck this up?
Financially, again, I honestly believe, because some people are like, no, that's not the case. Like, I think it comes down to dollars and cents. Yes, he brings in a lot of money. He sells merch, right? Like the fucking belts were selling for $800. But at the same time, they hit their quarterly marks. They went and exceeded their year over year without him. So what are we doing? When he is there, he is incredible. When he isn't, which if we go down the ladder of the past 3 years, how often, and I don't know, listen, mental health, everything, I'm not knocking someone for not being at the job. If you need time to heal, big ups to Bray. It's not a knock on him. I'm just stating the facts. How often was Bray Wyatt not around? Whether it's they don't have creative for him, whether he's asking to take time off, whether, great circumstances, like having a child, being on paternity leave, like he's had 2 children in the past 3 years. Congrats to him. There's nothing wrong with these things. I'm just saying, how often was he not around? That Fiend character debuted after he was gone for 7 months, 6 months.
Yeah.
He came back and he did a lot of, even in the midst of it, the Alexa stuff, when he lost the championship, he did 2 promos, disappeared for 3 months, and then came back and started like the Alexa Bliss type angle. He's been here today, gone tomorrow, like, okay, paternity leave, back. He's done that 3 or 4 times in the past 2 years, 3 years. And they're like, we make money regardless.
It just, the question becomes, whose fault is this?
I think it's a change of philosophy of we're going to ride with the people here day in, day out. We don't care about the veterans that the indie hardcores love. We don't care about the people who've earned the spot necessarily. No, why? We're just going to pay Goldberg that money, come back, and the crowd will pop the same. The venues will be filled. The hardcores will hate it. But the money's cutting the same, if not more. Yeah, we're losing Daniel Bryan, but we just had him at WrestleMania. Did he add anything monetarily? No, but you lost one of the top 5 wrestlers of the past 20 years. Top 3 wrestlers of the past 20 years. Yeah, but what does he do monetarily? Because we're paying him a shitload. Oh, wait, so when he's gone and when he's here, we make the same? Oh, but how often is he gone? Okay, paternity leave. Then he's here, then he's there. Like, so not to say they let him walk, but it's one of those things where it's like, does the check cut the same? Oh, we're still exceeding everything. Wait, we still got $1 billion deal from Peacock, regardless of who we put out there as champion? Oh, yeah, fuck it. If someone wants to walk, let him walk. If the dollars and cents don't match up, yeah, this guy is incredibly creative. One of the best minds we've had in this company ever. But do the dollars make the same? Okay, well then, yeah, you can let him go. It's always been about Vince. I think for the first time, and this is something you warned me about, and I think we're seeing it in real time, and it's without Vince passing or Vince getting sick or handing down control to someone else. When I said, oh, when it's Vince's time to go, Triple H is going to take the reins, right? And you said, what do you think is going to change? I said, oh, it's going to get so much better. It's going to be this. It's going to be like NXT. This is me saying that you're right, and we're seeing it in real time before anything like that has to change. It's that there's another chef in the kitchen now. And they brought him in. Nick Khan has been brought in to look at this shit, not like a wrestling company, to look at this from a stance of plus and minuses in terms of financials. And regardless if Vince is there, Triple H is there, whoever is there, does it make sense? And there's another chef in the kitchen that can decide this guy doesn't make sense. Regardless of past, his talent, anything, the dollars don't make sense. And he's gone. Now you guys figure it out.
So you're right. And there is a complicated matter in this also. And it is the Yankees are always going to be a powerhouse in baseball, right?
Correct.
Always. They're always going to be a top merchandise driver. You're never going to see a day where Yankee fitteds aren't a thing, right? However, after a while, if your ass ain't winning, people are going to start asking questions. Yeah. Because the perfect example is the New York Knickerbockers. The New York Knicks were the heart and soul of New York. For the past decade and a half, it's been straight anarchy. You have your hardcore Knicks fans, like Spike Lee, ride or die.
Yeah.
They're going to always show up at the Garden. Always. But then you have people who's like, yeah, I might be a Nets fan now. Right?
That's fair. But the Knicks won one championship ever. Like, it's easy to jump ship. It's a little, like, to me, it's more Cowboys-esque. Like, there's some Houston Texans fans. But no, there's no one's.
But here's my point.
Texans.
Here's my point. Those are institutions. The Yankees, the Cowboys, the Knicks to a degree. They're an institution.
WWE is an institution.
Exactly.
Higher than the Knicks.
Exactly. The problem is that when you get satisfied, you go, oh, man, we're still making all this money. And you stop paying attention to what people want. And I'm not saying this is just Bray Wyatt, but this is in general. And AEW, for instance, starts creeping up on you. Now you can't be that arrogant, right? You just can't. Because when the last time this shit happened, a little company called WCW damn near ran you out of the building. Damn near. Didn't do it, but gave you hell. Because you were so arrogant in your approach to things. You're like, we don't need Hogan. Fuck it, we don't need Nash. We're not going to play Scott Hall. We're going to continue with these cartoon characters. And WCW came and damn near knocked the apple cart over and fucked your business up.
Yep.
It's happening again. And Vince, I believe, is too arrogant to understand, because two things happen. One, and this is where Bray Wyatt comes in. One, they saw AEW coming. And Vince and company, their idea was, let's stomp them out before they get started. And what they do? They hoarded talent. They signed fucking everybody. But what we talked about a few years ago on the show is like, eventually, you're going to have to let some of those people go. Because there's no way in hell you can pay these people all this money and there's nowhere for them to work.
Yep.
Bray Wyatt, Braun Strowman became a casualty of that. Bray Wyatt especially, because you got all this talent that gets all, 3, 5, if you count 205 Live, which nobody does except for you, 6, yes, NXT, that's 8 hours of programming, right? Mm-hmm. Then you got NXT UK. Like, you sign all this talent to do this. And then eventually somebody goes, Nick Khan opens the book and is like, why are we paying this guy $1.3 million? He ain't been on TV in 4 months. And I don't know how much Bray Wyatt was getting paid. I'm just assuming. Braun Strowman, why are we paying this guy all this money? And do we need him? Do we need, like I keep saying, Mojo Rawley was getting paid like $500,000 to do nothing.
Yep.
You have to eventually clean up the books. The problem is, though, is that you signed all this talent that could be better used elsewhere, and elsewhere is going to start using them. Braun Strowman,
perfect.
Braun Strowman and Bray Wyatt, though, I don't know. We ain't seen fucking Ryback since.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Braun might fall into that category.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, Braun will, Bray won't. Like, Bray, I think he's perfectly built for an Impact run. Will it be as grandiose? No, the budget ain't the same, but the storytelling, again, what he was doing in NXT without a budget was phenomenal. He asked for a rocking chair. That's it. There was no budget. It was a rocking chair, and created one of the most captivating characters we've seen the past decade of a rocking chair and a thrift store lantern. Before there was fancy faces and heads on the lantern, before there was fireflies imposed into the crowds. There were people holding their phones up to make that aesthetic because he attached himself with a rocking chair and nothing else. He doesn't need a huge budget.
I beg to differ. Here's why. You're undervaluing the gravity of the WWE's production. Yes, you said it's a rocking chair, but it's also a song. That entrance music, you ain't getting that shit at AEW.
That was perfect. But no, the people who made the Fiend one said, "Oh, I got you, my guy." But yeah, it's not the same.
Production value means everything. Now, there's the other aspect of this, which is Bray Wyatt is WWE made, right? Whereas you take somebody like a Ricochet.
So was Cody.
Here's what I'm saying. Hold on. You take somebody like, because Cody, the lineage, like, yes, you have the Rotunda lineage. But nobody gives a fuck about the Rotunda lineage like the Rose lineage. Let's be clear.
There's levels to this.
Yes. But you take somebody like Ricochet, right? You sign him from the Indies. He goes through NXT. It doesn't really work out on the main roster. You throw him back in the Indies. He's fine. Wherever he lands, he's good. Bray Wyatt, the problem with him is what happens between the bells doesn't work in these other companies. What happens in between the bells when the bell rings and the final pinfall happens, you can't really do that shit. I mean, I'm not saying AEW wouldn't sign him, but he's not having great matches at AEW. And yes, they have money, but let's be honest, the production value is not even close to on par with Vince does.
No, and it's getting crowded. They can't sign every WWE.
No, they can't. They have another show. They have another show, whatever. But the point is that AEW's value is what happens between the bells. WWE's value is what happens before the bell rings and after the bell ends.
Yep.
That's where their value is. And Bray Wyatt fit that perfectly. Bray Wyatt made you want to watch the match. The match may suck, but you wanted to see what was going to happen. Even if I thought it was stupid, when Bray was hunting down Seth Rollins, we wanted to see that Hell in a Cell match. The match fucking sucked. We wanted to see it. It's like playing WWE video games just to watch the entrances. The game may suck, but those entrances get all the views on YouTube. And that's what Bray Wyatt is. Now you throw him out into the wild, not saying he can't land on his feet. I'm not saying that. There could be ways that he can reinvent himself, improve himself. Maybe they do throw some more money into production. But now you're looking at...
he could go back. Like, he could pull Zelina Vega and take less.
Yeah, doubt it. It's a different levels to this shit.
Yeah, but Vega, you field what the offers are. And if there's an offer not even comparable to what you were doing, like 50% less than what you were making, probably overpaid. I'm not going to say anyone's overpaid, but whatever he was making in WWE, if it's 50%, maybe he goes back to WWE and be like, yo, just give me 60 of what I was making. But make this shit work.
But you're assuming WWE wants him back.
That's also true. There's many sides to this.
It's like WWE is also very crowded. There's a lot of people not getting on TV. And the fact that they haven't really missed Bray Wyatt speaks in volumes of where they're at right now. They didn't even miss him.
Thankfully, they're less crowded now. I feel like finally it's starting to settle.
I don't know, man. Like,
who's catering?
Everybody. Look at the 24/7 situation. Like, those guys keep running out there. What's Drew Gulak doing?
That's down to 6 people.
I mean, is it?
It is.
Like, we can start naming all people that aren't being
Lucha
seen.
House Party.
Didn't they really? Kalisto
all of them.
Kalisto's gone, right?
But the tag team is still there. Lindsay and what's his face who does the ropes?
Grand Metalik.
Yeah, Grand Metalik. I think they're still there.
I mean, dude, here's why I say it's still crowded. The fact that we got a banger of a match between Ricochet and Cedric Alexander on main event means that the company's still crowded. Also means that they're booking terribly, because you can't tell me in 3 hours of Raw you couldn't find a place for that damn match.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
But what I'm saying is, with Bray Wyatt, yes, he goes out into the field and he gets an offer, right? And let's just say he goes to Impact. Now, if I'm a diehard, hardcore, I don't give a fuck about no company but WWE, and if the talent leaves, fuck them too, and Bray Wyatt shows up in front of 30 people on Impact, they're going to laugh at him.
Yeah.
And if you're the WWE, and if he's not setting the world on fire, like if he goes to Impact and he's not like setting the world on fire with his talent, you think WWE is going to go, wait, yeah, we need him back?
No. Wherever he goes, he has to be a big deal.
Yeah, he's got to be a big deal.
You have to carry on the same momentum or elevate yourself
but he's
Wherever
been able
you go.
he's been able to hide behind this character. And now you have these promotions like the GCWs, the AEWs, the Impacts.
Yeah, he's not that guy.
He's not that.
He's not
so
that.
I don't know where
he's
he
an
goes.
Impact guy. Like again, I'm not saying he goes to Impact and has 5-star, 4-star matches. I'm saying if you can go to Impact, use character development and do what Matt Hardy did. Maybe not even to that level, but you could do what Matt and Jeff did in Impact in terms of character work, where you had the Broken Universe, you had Willow, I remember all that shit for the character work. I don't remember any of that for the in-ring wrestling.
But here's the thing. Again, when you bring up Matt Hardy, you want to know why that Matt Hardy thing worked? It was great. But you want to know why it worked more than anything else? Nobody fucking expected it.
Yeah.
Everybody was like, yeah, it was like Matt Hardy came. It was like, oh, broken Matt Hardy. Like, what the fuck is this? And then it was like everything was brand new and it blindsided everybody. There's something about when somebody does something completely out of character and it works, that is endearing. Well, what could Bray Wyatt, the only thing he could blow us away with is having a 5-star match. Yeah. And this motherfucker went to Impact and then wrestled Kenny Omega and we got a 5-star match. People are like, oh shit. And Vince McMahon would want him back then. Braun Strowman has nowhere to go because he's a WWE guy. He looks so strange somewhere else. And his work rate is not that great. Bray Wyatt might fall in that same position. And this is why I think it's a true failure of WWE. Is like, to circle back what I was saying, is that WWE is not really looking over their shoulder yet. They're saying we're making this money, but those AEW ratings are really creeping up on you. Really creeping up on you. The fact that they blew the doors off of that Chicago show with 10,000 pre-sales, and they're, WWE's like, has that call, and Vince is like, I'm not worried about him. Okay.
Nor should he be yet. Like, granted, that 10,000 pre-sale is amazing, but they do that every fucking pay-per-view, and it's not taking away. When it takes away from their money, they will worry. AEW just getting money isn't a worry.
No. It's not about getting money. It's being aware of
It's
being aware of the competition, and it's being aware that, yeah, you could release a Bray Wyatt because it's not necessarily hurting your bottom line, but your your ratings are going down.
They are.
And Peacock is eventually going to say, hey man, what the fuck you guys doing?
Somebody, the investors, you're a publicly shared company. Like,
it's like gas prices, right? Gas prices are something that are determined. Like, gas is already here, right? They don't raise gas prices because it's short of gas yesterday. They think about this like 3 and 4 years out. And when they look at it, WWE's like, you're making the same money you were from 4 years ago. But when this all catches up to you, when these books catch up to you, and you look at your books, you go, oh my God, we paid all these people all this money.
That's why they're cutting at a rapid pace.
They have to. Yeah. And people's like,
it'll hit them in 2 years. Like, what the fuck?
If you're doing all this and you're misusing talent, it's like, as shrewd as UFC is, and I can't wait to talk to those motherfuckers at the next show, but as shrewd as they are, they understand their bottom line, and they're like, oh, well, it doesn't make sense for us to pay these guys this much money. It doesn't make sense to pay somebody this much money. And WWE looked at Bray Wyatt and they said it doesn't make sense. But the problem is that it did make sense. You just fucked it up.
Yeah. You fucked it up by overpaying him last time. Like, if you would have gave him a fair contract, but you overpaid everyone to stay because you were scared they were going to leave. But now you got to cut them, and they have to leave.
Right.
Like, the Good Brothers were a classic example. It's like, yo, you know what? Them just being AJ Styles lackeys isn't what they should be.
No, and they're too good. Let them go.
That. No, but they offered him another contract and paid them out of this world. For what? It's just let them leave. What? Why? Because you ended up cutting them. They left anyway.
And there was somebody on my timeline. I don't know if they were listening to the show or not, because somebody asked, why would you go to the WWE if this is the issue? And I was like, because that bag is fucking tremendous.
Oh.
I was like, and then somebody responded, it was like, but then they take the bag with them when they go. No, they don't. If I work at a company and I make $1 million a year and I work for 1 year in that company for $1 million, I can go work for another company for $80,000 because I have $1 million in my bank account.
Yep.
They don't take the bag. The bag is already there. The Good Brothers could do Impact and everything else they're doing because the money that they made at WWE for those 2-3 years, they got a savings account. They're good.
Yeah. And it heightens your price when you go elsewhere. Now, is it going to be WWE money? No. But if you do 4 shows at a heightened price, like say you were making I don't know, 80,000 before you left on the indies or in smaller companies, 100,000. They were bigger than 80,000, but they're making like 100,000. Now they went back. They're making two. They're on two different shows. You're making 200,000, 300,000. So it bumped your rate that you were at before up 100%. Plus you stacked money for 3 or 4 years. You straight.
Yeah, it's the
you hit the bingo, and you know it's the bingo. So now
I
you can go back and do your thing.
Yeah, it's these guys. Bray Wyatt's got enough money where that's why I asked. I was like, does Bray Wyatt even want to wrestle anymore?
It's a good question.
You know, like Bray
he could direct, right?
He could do anything. Like Bray Wyatt could just go home, right? There's plenty of, like Mojo Rawley. You think Mojo Rawley's like running out to wrestle in Ring of Honor? Because the difference between some guys like Matt Cardona or Aiden English, who just showed up in Impact, or a lot of these other guys, is even though they make a lot of money, they like wrestling. Like they wouldn't know what to do if they sat at home. Like remember when WCW got bought by WWE, guys like Kevin Nash were like, I don't need to do this shit. I'm gonna sit at home and collect this money, right? Other guys go, well, I don't want to, like, when this contract does run out, I still want to have visibility. So when I ask for money, I can get more money. But when you're somebody like Bray Wyatt, who I'm sure, or Braun Strowman, sure got a ton of money, and if I don't necessarily feel like wrestling, I don't have to. There's no need for Bray Wyatt to run anywhere and sign a big contract right now if his heart's not in pro wrestling. Like, it goes back to the CM Punk conversation. Everybody wants to see CM Punk wrestle. He's been gone for a long time. But what if CM Punk doesn't want to fucking wrestle? Like, what if it's just that? People don't ever think about that. Like when they say Kendrick Lamar hasn't dropped out. Somebody said this on the timeline. It's all these years. And, somebody on my timeline was like, well, Kendrick Lamar had a baby. And you guys don't take into consideration what happens when an artist drops an album. When an artist drops an album, now I got to tour. Now I got to promo. Now I got to travel. I'm away. I'm not doing the things. But if Kendrick Lamar is living frugal and he's staying at home and he's got a kid and he wants to spend time with his kid, he can do that.
Yep.
Fuck y'all. Who gives a shit what y'all want? Because when I do come back, you'll be ready. So in the case of Bray Wyatt, he could sit at home with JoJo, have another 2 or 3 kids on his farm, feeding him barley or whatever the fuck it is that he's doing. But there's no rush unless he really wants to wrestle, unless he was released by this company and was like, I still got a lot to give. What if he doesn't have anything else to give? He's got a bank account, though. He's good. So I don't know. Like, I don't think people are like, who lost? I'm like, Bray Wyatt didn't really lose. I don't think you want to be on the road. Think about that shit. The last 17 months, talent has gotten to stay at home 6 days out of the week, or 5 if there's a pay-per-view. Stay home. No house shows. No traveling for interviews. They go to the Thunderdome. Same place every week. Work, go home. Now, you're saying, hey, Bray, we need you back on the road 5 days out the week. For the same money? Nah, man. Well, what are we doing with me? Because I don't want to come to work and just show up in catering. Well, we don't really have anything for you. Why not? Oh, well, maybe you'll come back in August. What am I supposed to do until then?
Work out.
Yeah. So it's like, all right, well, is it guaranteed I'm coming in back in August? We don't know.
Yeah.
What am I doing? I don't know. At a certain point, there becomes a conflict, and then the company goes, you're too much of a headache. We're going to cut you. And Bray Wyatt goes, cool, because I don't want to be on the road either.
Yep. You got time to figure it out.
Goes both ways.
So, I mean, we'll see how that all plays out. We'll see what Bray's next move is. Let's recap real quick Raw and SmackDown from last week. Just talk about the overall tones of what's going on in the WWE. We have Reginald, 24/7 champion. Are you in? Like, I find it funny, but I'm not watching. This is built for YouTube. Like, this is going to get like 3 million views on YouTube.
I mean, look, man, this is another case of Vince finding something that he likes. And like, he liked it. You knew he liked it when he split him from Carmella after like 2 weeks. Like, you knew it. Like, Vince was like, I like this little black guy that does flippy shit. Let's make him funny. And then he put him with Nia Jax, and had him in the middle of the whole like Bianca Belair, and like,
yep.
Reginald.
What Vince thinks of black people.
Yeah, okay. I wasn't gonna go there, but sure.
It's cool. He thinks they're entertaining. He thinks they're funny.
Yeah, but what he's done with Reginald, like, there's only so far you can go with a guy who has no ring gear. Like he wrestles in suits. There's only so far that character can go.
That man is sharp. But yeah,
like there's only so much you can do. You can never take him seriously.
Yep, I agree. Morrison beat Riddle, but that's not the major thing there. Like whatever, people win and lose willy-nilly. They don't matter in the WWE. What happened is Styles and almost attack Riddle at the end. They break his scooter, leaning towards a return for Randy Orton, I'm guessing, where we have Orton and Riddle finally challenging for the tag team titles, and they should win it at SummerSlam. So I like where this is going because Omos and Styles, it's run its course. It's all good. Like it's done now.
It's that thing has completely run its course, and Styles needs to be back doing the single shit.
Agreed.
The Omos thing was again another thing that Vince saw was like, I really like this giant black guy. Let's make it fun. And now it's like, well, what's left? Nothing. There's nothing left for this.
He Otis'd him. It's a wrap for Omos.
Yeah, it's done. It's done deal.
There's nothing after this for him, by the way.
No, there's nothing left for him. There's nothing left for what's the new Ascension? Dijakovic and
Mason T-Bar.
I can't call them that because they're not doing anything. But yeah, they're just nothing but the Ascension. Like it's over for them.
Mansoor and Mustafa Ali are in a nice little angle though, where they're like, Mustafa's trying to tell him to be kind of like a heel, but he's turning Mustafa back to face. They're going to be a tag team. All right.
We'll see. And then the other guy it's over for is Colonel Aziz.
Oh, it's over for Colonel Aziz. We'll get there during SmackDown.
We'll get there. We'll get there. But you're right.
Is it over for Keith Lee?
Yes. That was going to be my next thing. It's over. But I told y'all this shit.
It's not over for Keith Lee. You're way too premature on Keith.
Okay. You correct me when I'm wrong. You come back to me and tell me that
unless
I'm wrong
he's
about
released,
this?
which is very possible. Unless he's released.
Look. Here's why.
A great sign, but
I'm gonna give you my why, and I want you guys to listen to this. Keith Lee is incredibly talented. We know this. Keith Lee came out there like a ball of fire, beat Randy Orton, and I was like, that's a problem because there's nowhere to go. Keith Lee since then lost to Drew Mack, lost to Bobby Lashley, and in the past 2 weeks has gotten like he lost to Bobby Lashley, and then he got tapped by Cross. I want to be very clear about something. When you have a baby face, submit, not pass out, submit to a guy who just lost to Jeff Hardy a week ago. It's not a good sign.
It's not.
Furthermore,
it's not a great sign.
Furthermore, this is why I say it's the beginning of the end of Keith Lee. Something was going on that kept Keith Lee away from this company for almost 7 or 8 months. And it's like he's being punished for it right now.
Agreed. That's the scary part. Yeah, like it might be. Again, they saw life without you, and there wasn't a dent. It's tough. That'll be rough. Maybe he's a guy where Trips would be like, "Yo, send him back to me." But if not, it could be over. I'll give you that. Hopefully, it's not though. I'll say that.
I hate it. Here's the other issue with that match: Keith Lee versus Karrion Kross on Raw. Revisiting a feud from a year ago.
Yep.
At NXT. Did they even fucking reference the match?
No acknowledgement. No.
This is why I'm saying that it might be over for Keith Lee.
Well, I'm just not sure Vince watches it, so he can't get
even if he doesn't watch it. The point is that Keith Lee was he won both titles in NXT. He was a big fucking deal. And he comes into WWE hot, and then they cool him off almost immediately. And having him getting submitted by Cross. Submitted. You know how many times Keith Lee got submitted in NXT? Zero.
None. How many times did Cross get pinned? None.
Exactly. This is my point.
Hardy immediately.
This is my point. Vince doesn't give a fuck about these guys. Like
Cross, he wants to start as a blank slate every time.
Yeah, but
if they're hot, he will cool them down to get to the blank slate.
So here's my comparison with Keith Lee, and then we can move on from him. My Keith Lee comparison is to Big E. Big E came in, if anybody remembers, came in from NXT, came in on Raw, and beat the shit out of John Cena. And then what? Nothing.
Then he had to be with Ziggler for a while, and then
nothing for him.
It wasn't over.
But you're digging
yourself out of a hole,
right? And the difference is you had Kofi and Woods, and right time, right place.
3-4 years later, too.
That's what I'm saying. Like it wasn't as crowded where they're so comfortable releasing talent.
Yeah.
They allowed E and Woods to hang around. Now they wouldn't be here.
Yep.
But they had the opportunity to rebuild themselves. I don't think the WWE has like patience for a lot of these guys anymore.
I don't know. The saving grace, and I'll say this, it could be over, but hopefully it's not. Saving grace with Keith Lee is he's not a guy who makes multi-millions yet. Like, he's not a guy who's hurting your books. If they want to give him time, they can.
They just got to find something to do with him. Look, dog, we haven't seen Mia Yim on TV in this thin-ass women's. What the fuck are they doing?
No clue. And then we have, Natalia and Tamina are on my TV against Doudrop and Eva Marie. I'm not paying attention to that. Drew Mack defeats one of Jinder's lackeys. Jinder beats him up. Drew Mack hits the lawyer with the claimer. I mean, Drew Mack has to do something. Cool. Can't be in a title picture forever. And then Viking Raiders gets pinned. It's a wrap for them. Damian Priest versus Sheamus. Beat Sheamus by pinfall. I hate when the WWE does this. So when he does it again in 3 weeks at SummerSlam, does it even feel special?
No, WWE's got cut. This is oh god, this gives me a headache. Why do you pin your champions for no reason?
Title fights. Like, that's not going to make me think any better, like, of the champion or the guy chasing them. I know he can beat them now.
Yeah, but like, why are we doing this? Why can't you just save it for SummerSlam?
They did it again. Charlotte Flair pins. Charlotte Flair pins Nikki ASH. Non-title match. Now it's a triple threat for the title at SummerSlam. Nikki's coming up off of this belt.
You think she's coming off of SummerSlam?
I think so. By hook or by crook.
You might be. I might. She might. I think she might escape at SummerSlam.
Maybe. I think Charlotte wins it back. Maybe she doesn't pin Nikki. Maybe she pins, Rhea again, something like that. It's, there's weird shenanigans with a triple threat. Or Nikki's pinning Rhea. Rhea's getting pinned. I'll tell you that much. But I think Becky comes back. And for Becky, neither of those two are legit matchup. You kind of have to have the heel standing on top. Bianca's not a heel. Bianca's going into her own program. I think Charlotte is the way to go. Charlotte wins. Becky comes out to confront Charlotte.
Yeah, I mean, dude, all this is probably right. But I feel like the clock is already ticking on Nikki's title run.
Yeah, me too. But I think the gimmick is strong enough to keep her around out of catering.
Maybe.
Then we have Lashley beat both members of the Hurt Business. What the fuck? Just give me the Hurt Business back. You know what? If he's going to do this, I'm fine with this. But then have him pull a Roman Reigns and say, now I own you motherfuckers again. Like, no, we getting the crew back together. Y'all going to do what I say.
Yo, I have no response to this.
I don't know.
It's weird. I mean, look.
Poor Cedric Alexander.
Raw is such a bad show. It's so bad. I watch it. I'm like, I can't believe I'm watching this shit. It's bad.
It's worse because SmackDown is actually a good show.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. I can't talk about this shit anymore.
SmackDown, we have Jimmy Uso defeating Dominic Mysterio. We're obviously going to get a rematch at SummerSlam for the tag titles. The Usos still aren't losing the tag title.
They better not.
That doesn't matter. No, Mysterio and Dominic, like, that was a cool little thing. They're not winning the belts back. Toni Storm comes out, pins Zelina Vega. I don't know what the fuck is Zelina Vega resigned for. She's just going to lose every week.
Wait. Okay. Let me get this straight, because I'm fast forwarding a little bit and then we'll go back. Zelina Vega loses to Toni Storm, and Zelina Vega is in the main event against Bianca and Sasha with Carmella. What the fuck is going on?
Listen, man, if you know, you tell me. But whatever. Zelina just talks herself into these situations. So I was like, okay, she just came out and was like, I deserve a title shot. It's like, you just lost. But whatever. Edge and Seth Rollins brawl after some good, like, talking. Like, all right. Like, they've been brawling every week.
I like this feud. I like this feud a lot.
Yeah, I don't mind it. Right? Like, it's cool. We have a tag match: Big E, Cesaro, Knock versus Apollo Crews, Robert Roode, and Dolph Ziggler. One, they're just giving Big E shit to do. Two,
they have nothing for him, it seems like.
At least they have him on TV. Cool.
Yeah.
With the briefcase, you just got to be around. Cesaro, he looked good in a match. Knock hits Apollo with the Kinshasa and pins him clean as a sheet. It's over.
Another champion.
Another champion pin. It's over for him, though. Knock with Booge. They like that. He got the crown. Now he's King Nakamura. He's winning the IC title. And again, this goes to my point when people say they wasted Knock. No, they're paying Knock very well. He's on TV all the time. And he's had a belt for like 80% of his WWE run. He's just never had the main belt. He's had a title 80% of his main roster run. Plus, he was Royal Rumble winner.
I just have a hard time with Knock because Knock is so talented that some of the people they put on TV and not Knock, you're like, what are we doing? And now it's like they found something again. It's kind of like the Oscar effect, right? It's like when you give them something to do and you don't really think about it, and then they excel at it, then you're reminded like, oh, he's really fucking good.
He's really good. Yeah. Yeah, Knock, he was like, they gave him some time. Boom, he's right back up there.
Yo, we didn't talk about Baron Corbin yet.
Oh, yeah, I got it. Corbin opening the show.
Oh my goodness.
The John Cena promo to open the show was great.
Yeah, it was.
Cena comes out. He flips the missionary line. I mean, the guy's a genius on the mic. Then I'm like, okay, cool. That's over. No. Then Baron Corbin comes out with the same shirt for 3 weeks in a row. Broke Baron Corbin is a babyface that none of us knew we needed.
None of us.
But he's the babyface we all want now.
Oh, yeah. He's
incredible.
Fantastic.
Asking Cena for money. And they say, listen, I'll earn it. Put me in the movie. Setting up the plug for the Cena movie that comes out this week. He's like, put me in Fast and Furious. Put me in Fast 9. He was like, Fast 9 is already out. Like, oh, my God, this shit's so hilarious. Corbin growing the hair out. So he got the George Jefferson, Tony Kornheiser going. Everything about him is so great. And then we see it come back up later in the show. Reginald, by the way, beats Chad Gable. Both show Reginald, SmackDown and Raw right now, beats Chad Gable. Make it make sense. Rey Mysterio beats Jimmy Uso. We know where this is going. And then, of course, we have Sasha, Bianca, tagging against Carmella and Zelina Vega because Sasha saves Bianca earlier in the day when they were trying to gang up on Bianca.
All right. Before we get to this, we didn't mention the signing, the contract signing.
I was saving that for after.
Oh, you're saving the thing. Okay,
yeah, good. To me, that was like my highlight of SmackDown, even though the women main event.
Okay. So while it was good to see Sasha back, I have a gripe with this. And the gripe is when she came back, it was really weird. It was like 45 minutes into the show and Sasha kind of pops up.
In a sprint.
Yeah, to sprint to save Bianca. And I was like, and as soon as she came out, I'm like, all right, countdown for when she hits Bianca with the backstabber. Right? Like I was like, we know it's coming. Because
we thought we knew. But
we knew it was coming. Because here's why. If anybody watching the show and you saw this, I'm looking inside the ring and I see Bianca Belair, Sasha Banks, Zelina Vega, and fucking Carmella. Two of these people should not be in the ring right now. It's Zelina Vega and Carmella. They will never get another shot at the title. As soon as I saw Sasha come out, I was like, Bianca, you idiot. Like, how stupid are you?
There's only one threat to your belt in that ring.
Yeah, and she's right there. Yes, you guys were on the ESPYs, which is this was my gripe. I get it. We got to get to this match. It's cool. But they could have played it up for a week where they were like, girl, we did the ESPYs. We had this moment. They don't even have to tag team. Just an interaction of her, Sasha saying, yeah, I'm going to take some more time off. I'm proud of you, whatever. But the moment that they tagged, I was like, oh, she's turning on her now? Like, they could have let this one go just a little bit longer because we just saw him at the ESPYs. I don't like Bianca looking like an idiot.
Yeah, but Sasha was gone for so long.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, they could have still brought her back. This is just me fantasy booking. It's not the worst thing in the world. But they could have still brought her back and had like a conversation. And Sasha was like, oh, I'm getting ready to film The Mandalorian, so maybe I'll see you at Survivor Series. And then put it in the back of your mind that maybe Sasha might be gone for a hot second. And then she just attacks her. Rather than doing a tag team against, like, Bianca could beat Carmella and Zelina Vega by herself. She didn't need Sasha's help.
True.
It was very telegraphed. But it's fine. If that's the match we're getting at SummerSlam and Bianca's going over again, I'm cool with it.
Ooh. All right. So Sasha comes back. They tag. The tag match itself wasn't bad at all. Carmella's gotten better.
She has. Carmella's not a bad wrestler.
No, she's not a bad wrestler. Like she's more than competent as a wrestler now. Like, and the character work is still money all the time. And then Zelina's not bad. So it was a cool match. I liked when Bianca pressed Sasha over her head and used her as a weapon to cross-body the other two. Like, it was cool. So they win. Sasha hugs Bianca. And as you alluded to, backstab her. Gets up, holds the belt in the air, goes back, does a cool tornado DDT, and then bank statement. To finish off, has Bianca tapping. Such a great visual because we all know the best Sasha Banks is heel Sasha Banks.
Absolutely, 100%.
So I like this. And I'm not convinced Bianca wins at SummerSlam.
To me, it's a terrible idea if Bianca loses.
Bianca's red hot right now. But yeah,
not even that. Sasha's a made woman. Sasha's in that spot where she could lose, she'll be fine. She'll be totally fine. Bianca loses, it's the Rhea Ripley thing, right? Like, Bianca's super over. She's white hot. There's no reason to take this title off her right now. None. As much as I love Sasha Banks, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, Sasha doesn't need it. But I wouldn't be surprised. And then what I saved for last, Cena, contract signing. One, it's Roman Reigns versus Finn Balor contract signing. How Finn just debuted, wins 2 matches, and gets a title shot, I'll never know. So we knew the shenanigans were coming. But Finn comes out, still super over.
Yeah.
Comes out, sits down. We're like, oh, this is kind of going through. Roman's playing it well. Heyman's there. Everything's dope. Expecting Cena to come out. Nope. Who do we get? Baron Corbin. There was one time where I was like, fuck, why is Baron Corbin on my TV? That is no longer the case.
No,
I don't care if Baron Corbin's in 4 segments on a 2-hour SmackDown show. This shit is money right now. So Baron Corbin comes out, of course, thinks this is a way for him to turn his luck around. Explains, I don't know if he explained earlier or during this, that his wife has now left him because he is impotent. She's taken the kids. The lack of money and everything is now affecting his libido. He has to get it back. The title's his way to get it back. Beats the hell out of Finn, teases signing the contract and facing Roman Reigns. At this point, John Cena then comes out, throws Corbin out of the ring. His bad luck continues. Takes the contract. He's like, oh, there's a contract here. Signs Cena on it. See you, Roman Reigns, at SummerSlam. Finn Balor gets dogged out, but it's fine. Finn will be cool. I think this sets up him versus Corbin, which is problematic because Corbin is a babyface to my mind. They did this because they're treating Corbin like a heel, and they didn't want John Cena to come in and just wreck Finn Balor. So you got to have a heel wreck Finn Balor, and then Cena come in and wreck the heel, especially after their interaction earlier. But Corbin's not a heel. A guy who's lost all his money and is down on his luck during a point where, 60% of America, 70% just went through the same thing. And it's extremely relatable. He's got stuff repoed, doing anything for a buck, just wants to take care of his family in hard times. He's the heel. What? Treat this man like a babyface, like he should be.
Yeah, I thought that this was fun. My only thing is, I hope. Do you say you want to see Baron Corbin in 4 segments? I don't. I don't want them to
no, they're going to burn it out. No, I don't want them to burn it out. But it was fun for this week.
It was very fun for this week. And Baron Corbin has been golden in this role. And this is one of those things where I'm sure that they didn't expect this.
If it's him versus Finn, though, I'm okay with that as long as he gets crushed and you give him more sympathy. I need it to be a squash match for Finn. If it goes over 2 minutes, then it's too long.
Yeah.
He squashed Baron before one time as the demon. So, yeah, squash him again.
Go ahead, squash him again. That's what absolutely should happen.
At SummerSlam, just squash.
We at this point, I think they should just kind of slow play this into a babyface turn for Baron Corbin. Like, because he's still a dick, right? Like, he's still an asshole. He's just broke and funny.
Yeah.
But it's like, if having him getting squashed and being like pathetic, I think that's kind of fun. On another note, pathetic fun. Did you catch Kevin Owens on Twitter tweeting about NXT?
No.
Oh my God. So Kevin Owens, you guys know this. I love Kevin. Kevin Owens has like this he posts on social media about, I think he's like live tweeting the next NXT, right? And Aaliyah is walking by. And Kevin Owens is like, "Hey, Aaliyah, how long have you been here?" And she's like, "I've been here 6 years." And he's like, "Whoa, I was at NXT for 10 months. And the way he says it is such, I was like, this is incredible. I don't know, dude. Kevin Owens, again, this is one of those guys. He's invaluable. He's incredible. But this was so good because he shitted all over Aaliyah. Like, he's like, "You've been here for how long? 6 years?" He's like, "Yeah, I was in NXT for like 10 months, but that's neither here nor there. I'm live tweeting NXT." And I was like, dude, this guy's, he's incredible. He's incredible. With Baron Corbin, something like that, it's natural for him to come off that way, where we all look at him as the babyface. But you can't turn the babyface yet, because once you do, you take the charm of what he's doing away from him. Right now, keep letting him run in and try to attack Finn Balor. It keeps that charm element about it, because he's still a heel, but some of us feel pity for him. The moment he's like gets cheers, it's over. It's not fun anymore. So let this thing run its course. But it's great. I've enjoyed every minute of it.
No, I agree. So it's interesting. We have our main events for both shows. We have Goldberg versus Lashley. We have Cena versus Reigns. Edge versus Seth Rollins. Yeah, I almost drew a blank. Edge versus Seth Rollins. So we have Sasha versus Bianca. It's shaping up nicely.
It looks like a pretty good SummerSlam.
Pretty good card.
Hey, inside baseball here, we're talking ahead a little bit, but the undercard for fucking Spence Pacquiao is terrible. So this is a pretty good chance I'm gonna be around at SummerSlam for a decent amount of time.
Listen, I'm trying to get in the building too, so you might see your boys on August 21st here in Vegas at SummerSlam, but we'll also be at all the events that week. So if you're in town, hit us up. It's going to be a crazy week of wrestling and boxing. So actually, let's take our last break. When we come back, let's just touch on AEW. It was not the most eventful of weeks. We're still hearing the teases going forward, but we'll recap what happened on, it's not Dynamite, it's like Fight for the Fallen. When we come back, don't go anywhere. We're wrapping up the show after this. We'll get right back to the show in a second, but first, the wait is finally over. Football is back. You might not be able to be at a game this year, but you can still be in on the action at BetOnline. BetOnline is going the extra mile to make sure you can get in on every possible chance to win this season. From game spreads to totals to teams, player, and coaching props, BetOnline gives you more options to wager than anywhere else. You can get in on their season opening bonuses today and start off wagering on wins, divisions, and championship futures all day, every day.
Head to BetOnline today and take advantage of all the great sign-up bonuses. Don't forget to use code BlueWire at betonline.ag. That's BlueWire, all one word. BetOnline, your online sportsbook experts.
All right. I finally got something right. It was Fight for the Fallen. Everything has like a million names now. Like, why does every weekly show need to have a different name? We just had Fyter Fest Night 1, Night 2. The debut in Chicago was called something else, where they're teasing Punk. I don't know what the fuck that is. And then, of course, we have pay-per-views with names. And it's way too much. We have Bash at the Beach before then. So damn much, man. It's hard to keep up with it. Oh, the next one is Homecoming. Like, my God, stop with the names. It's Dynamite. Just call it Dynamite. Anyway, minor gripe. We have on this week one of the best opens to an AEW show that I've seen. Great open to any show, wrestling show in a long time. We have the Dark Order promo with Hangman Page, where they're full garb and just dressed in all their Dark Order gear in the barn, and their shadows all have cowboy hats.
So good.
Even though they are not wearing the cowboy hat. Amazing. Amazing attention to detail. Great promo. Great package. And they all show up in the ring. They have the bandanas like they're cowboys, the boots, but the rest there, outfits are normal wrestling outfits. Hangman Page, it truly shows how they kind of like blended together. Two things that don't work, but that have mixed perfectly together.
Yeah, this wasn't supposed to work.
No, it wasn't. But that's the perfect tie-in right there.
Yeah. That their entrance and then the Elite coming out with the whole Monstars, looking like straight idiots.
Monstars on the bottom, Toon Squad at the top, the Elite Squad. I was like, hey, wait, you guys ain't Creep Squad. Copyright infringement. Where's Faye? But no, it was dope entrance, looking like they've never dribbled a basketball in their life.
Right.
Kenny gets a pass. He's Canadian. But like even then, it's like, come on, it was hilarious. Them trying to dunk and the entire entrance there. It actually being a promo spot for Space Jam, like Space Jam 2 in theaters now. Like that was funny. So much better and well handled than zombies eating the Miz.
Oh God!
Like a zombie lumberjack match for a check is ridiculous.
This was happen.
This is how you get a funny check.
I forgot about that already.
It was like 3 pay-per-views ago, right? 4 pay-per-views ago.
Wow, I gotta start making lists of like worst shit ever.
It was the Batista zombie movie.
Yes,
right after Mania. Then Miz gets eaten by a bunch of Vegas zombies, and that's the end of the match. It might have been against Damian Priest, I think, and then Miz comes back and he's in a wheelchair, but he's alive.
Hey, real quick, why is Miz still in a wheelchair?
I don't know why Miz is in a wheelchair. I'm expecting him to do the Kevin Nash.
Oh, okay. I was trying to see if there's a reason because I was like, did he get?
Is it a real injury? I just thought it was because of the zombies.
No, he's not injured because he did like some softball.
He did celebrity baseball at the All-Star game. I don't know. Zombie injury, man.
So anyway, this match, this tag match to open up the show, it was good, and then I kept going. Well, Hangman's got to beat everybody, right?
Yeah, it's long in the tooth though. It was long in the tooth.
And then he fucking lost. And now I'm like, wait a minute, what are we doing?
Yeah.
I have no idea what's going on now.
Reports say, again, take internet reports, dirt sheet shit with a grain of salt, but say they might be moving off of him and everything they've built up with him and Kenny to make room for someone who's debuting, which my pet peeve of them is bringing in the next new guy and going right to the title. They've done it so many damn times. They've stopped doing it. Miro's an incredible case of that and building someone the right way that I fear them going back to like, no, let this play out. I think the CM Punk Darby Allin tease is perfect. Because granted, Miro is a heel, but that's just a match that'll pop everyone.
Dude, again, I don't know what's happening with Punk and Bryan. And, people are speculating. I have no idea.
If they show up, great.
If they don't, they got you. Like, either way. But the idea of moving Adam Page off of this match is really bothering me. Because it feels like, as hot as he is right now, if that's the report, and if that actually happens, I have a problem with this. Dirt sheet reports, I don't know.
Yeah.
But this is the match. Page Omega at all in, all out. What is it? Is
all out, I think. I think it's all out.
All something, goddammit. Whatever it is, that's the match. That's it. I don't care if Punk was to come back. I don't care if Bryan comes back. I could care less. It's Page versus Omega. You've been working on this for so long. You got a live crowd, and the Dark Order is never going to be any hotter than this. You have to pull the trigger on that match. And like you said, you cannot bring in somebody else